Hey everyone, Cody here, and today I want to talk to you about buying your first rental property in 2021 using no or low money down for your loan. So I know there's been a lot of discussion about this in the real estate space. People kind of always use this term of no or low money down. So I wanted to give some insight into that. Hopefully you find this helpful, and we can kind of strategize together on some ways that you could potentially get into your first rental property, again with no or low money down. So for the no money down options, you have a VA loan. So that's for anyone obviously that is served in the armed forces, and that allows you to put 0% down on a primary residence. So this would be a form of house hacking. For those that are not familiar with house hacking, essentially it's kind of using a primary residence and then turning that into a rental property, whether that be staying in the property for an amount of time like a year, and then after that renting it out, or then renting out by the room and getting some rental income. So the VA loan would give you 0% down. You can also roll the closing costs into that, so that would be things like your appraisal fee, your attorney fees, title, etc. And that would allow you to get into a property with 0% down, 0% cash out of pocket, as well as actually also getting some lower interest rates, because that loan is insured by the U.S. government, so the bank is more inclined to give you a better rate. With that, we then have the FHA loan and the FHA 203K loan. So I have these guys outlined here, and I'm going to go into more detail. I actually used an FHA 203K loan to get into my own property, my first rental, which I'm going to be doing a video about kind of the trials and tribulations that come with using an FHA 203K, but I will definitely touch upon that today. So what is an FHA loan? Essentially, an FHA loan is a loan that was designed by the U.S. government, Fannie Freddie, and what that allows is it's for low-income borrowers, and so it allows you to get into a primary residence with as little as 3.5% down for your down payment. This is huge because most people, the majority of people that purchase homes will put at least 5%, and then a lot of times it's really recommended to put at least 10 to 20% down, and with 20% down you will not have any private mortgage insurance, which we'll get into later, but that can be a cash flow killer. So the FHA loan allows us to get into our property with 3.5% down. So let's see, using our example purchase price here of $100,000, that would allow you to get in for $3,500 plus this 1.75, which is called Upfront mortgage insurance premium. This is probably one of the biggest caveats to getting an FHA loan. So essentially, you do have that private mortgage insurance, which is calculated on your loan, but essentially they want you to put a little bit more skin in the game, and this is a fee, not an additional down payments. This equates to no equity in your home, but it's a kind of a fee to give you, again, so you have some skin in the game for the bank and the government, and so that kind of sucks because you're losing this money, so you're kind of almost putting 5% down, but you're just not getting credit for it. But again, using this guy here as an example, this $100,000, that would allow us to get into a $100,000 property for $5,250 before closing costs. The benefits as well with FHA is you can also roll the majority of closing costs into the loan, so you can finance them over time, which would be less money out of pocket, which we like in this specific example. Then there is a subset of the FHA loan, the FHA 203K loan. There's two types for this one. You have the streamlined version, which essentially I believe it's anything under $25,000 of rehab costs, and then you have the traditional FHA 203K loan, which is renovation costs above $25,000 can then be rolled into your loan and financed. I used this that specific one. So my first investment property was a 2-family house at the Jersey Shore in New Jersey, and I was able to roll approximately $100,000 of renovation costs on top of my purchase price, and was able to finance that to get through a very, very extensive renovation that took quite some time, which I will have a link to a subsequent video that I'm going to do that's going to kind of go over that. But essentially, either way, these are all super powerful tools for you to be able to get into your first rental property. And if we look here, so just wanted to clarify this part. So essentially, again, when you do this 203K loan, they're going to do 3.5% plus this upfront mortgage insurance premium, the UFMIP, and that's going to be calculated on the total purchase plus rehab costs. Now, another con when you use the FHA loan is that you will need, when you're doing the 203K, you are going to need a HUD consultant. So that's essentially somebody who has a consultant relationship with the HUD program, with the FHA program, and then they are going to have to come out and do essentially their own type of renovation sheet where they're going to come up with their own scope of work. And then you are going to then use that to go shop contractors, but that's them essentially reporting to the government and saying, hey, this is the amount of work that we see relative to market prices for work, for construction work in your area, and so that's going to cost you a couple $100s to have somebody come out and do that. I actually found that to be really, really helpful though when you're starting out, because you might not necessarily know how much work costs, and at least it gives you a scope of work that you can then go shop with some contractors. Another con, just as I'm just thinking out loud, when you're using an FHA loan, the 203K, all of the draws that you're going to take on that guy are going to be in arrears. So what that means is if, let's just say I have a general contractor who's going to do the job, it's a $30,000 renovation. Let's say they do $10,000 worth of work. A lot of contractors are going to want cash up front, whether that be some form of deposit for materials, or they're going to want some materials plus labor work. They're not actually, if you use the 203K, they're not going to get paid until that HUD consultant comes out and then takes pictures and essentially signs off that $10,000 worth of work was done. And then the bank will write you a check, let's just say within a week or two after the paperwork's done, and then you'll pay. So that actually can be very troublesome when trying to find a contractor when you're using the 203K, because a lot of them are not going to want to wait to get paid. So I highly recommend, if you are going to do this, if you have the option to take out a personal loan, or if you already have a primary residence, using a home equity line of credit to be able to finance in the short term your ability to pay the contractor to keep your construction schedule moving. Some additional resources for this. So if you have more questions, feel free to leave me a comment below, and I can do another video with more detail. But some other things is you can always go on Audible or on Amazon, and you can buy a book called it's the Low or No Money Down book on real estate investing by Brandon Turner. That's a really great book, and that'll dive into more detail on some of these things. But overall, I hope that this video was helpful for you, and at least getting a general idea of some ideas or some strategies and ways you can get into your first property. And I wish you luck. And so like and subscribe to the video if you enjoyed it, and I'll see you soon.